am here with my friend Jennifer, who has been vegan for about 7 years. And we might be joined by some other vegan friends that are sometimes part time vegan, sometimes totally vegan. We're not judgmental here about that. We just want people to be plant based, try a plant based diet. And if you'll come to our side, we'd love to have you. So, Jennifer, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I have a YouTube channel called The Confident Vegan, which you've also been a lovely guest on there recently. So if no one's seen that, go check it out. Heather did a great interview on there. You're a lot of fun. And you were also a guest speaker with my virtual vegan support group, the Vegan Sip and Chat, which is a place for vegans and aspiring vegans. So yeah, I had been vegan for 7.5 years. I am a vegan in a non-vegan household, and I wanted to be vegan sooner, but I was afraid of how people would judge me. And I'm a recovering people pleaser. And I realized there was like this residue because I've done a lot of personal development work on myself over the years. And I realized this is an area where I still have that, like, wow, what are people going to think of me? And then what if
Oh,
people challenge me
yes.
on my views? And so, and I wasn't even sure what my views were. And what happened with me on my vegan journey was, I mean, I've always loved vegetables. My mom used to make all kinds of vegetable stuff when I was a kid. We weren't vegan, but I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of veggies. So I love veggies. And I like food as long as it tastes good. And what happened was I started to notice I was having like food sensitivities, and I was reading how dairy can trigger like skin issues and stuff. So I decided to do an experiment and give up dairy for 30 days. And I noticed I felt better in ways that I didn't really even realize there were ways that dairy was making me feel bad until I gave it up for 30 days. And like my sinuses were better, my skin issues were clearing up. And I just felt this overall sense of well-being that I didn't feel when I was on dairy. And during that time, I started looking up dairy-free recipes on Pinterest, and a lot of vegan recipes were coming up. And I was like, wow, look at all this exciting food. Like all these uses of spices and creative, healthier versions of desserts like tofu cheesecake, which is much better for you than real cheesecake with like cream cheese and it's so heavy and fatty. Um, and I discovered forks over knives and whole food plant based. And I did want to eat healthier. My mom died of a heart attack in 2007. So heart disease was a scare for me. And my dad passed away almost 2 years ago from other health issues with, having heart disease. And then there was diabetes in the family and all these things that you know, just were in the family, and I didn't want to have those issues. So I started looking at forks over knives and whole food plant-based recipes as like a guideline to like eat better. And then and so I started doing that more for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking about the animal stuff more. Like we know where meat comes from, but there's this cognitive dissonance that we all have, I think, and I've had this conversation with other vegans, because we grow up, we just see it packaged, we don't see the whole process.
Exactly.
So, so we're just kind of programmed to accept this. And I watched a documentary on Netflix called Vegetated. I can't watch the really extreme ones, but this one, it had like a little bit of stuff in it, and
Mm-hmm.
talked about this overall, um, or just a whole encompassing of all the different aspects of veganism, a holistic approach. That's the word I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah.
To
I haven't seen
veganism.
that. I haven't seen that one. So was that when did that come out? Like a few
It
years
came
ago?
out, maybe 2012. I think it's more than 10 years old. It might be
Oh,
10 years old.
okay.
I think it's a little bit more. It's more than 10 years old, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but it's about, I think it follows some people in New York City who are learning about veganism. I forgot who I saw it so long ago. I saw it in 2015. And so who
Oh.
so they're taught about the different benefits of veganism. They're shown what happens in the slaughterhouses as well as all the health stuff. And
Hmm.
they're given this challenge to try being on a vegan diet. I can't remember for how long. It might have been a month or 8 weeks. Again, I saw it in 2015. So I don't remember. And that's when I really started to feel this, oh, I wish I could be vegan. And
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of dabbled a bit. I just started eating more stuff. Um, our kids are now young adults. We're recently empty nesters, but at the time our kids were
Oh.
still younger and at home, and there was no way that everyone's going to want to eat the things that I wanted to eat. And so eventually I just would cook more stuff. I would have fun. I bought cookbooks. My first vegan cookbook, I think, was the Oshi Glows cookbook. There was just, I love
Oh,
her stuff.
yeah.
She has
Yeah.
some other ones now too, but this was her first one. I loved the cover, the artwork looked colorful, had like colorful veggies on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought it, and that was like my segue into making more vegan recipes. And so I think that's like my first tip I would say to anybody is just have fun. Don't like put pressure on yourself. Just try recipes and experiment. And that's what I did for a bit. And then there was just like something in my soul screaming at me to go vegan.
Wow.
I
Wow.
yeah, and so I decided I put it on Facebook because that makes everything real, right? You put it on Facebook. And
I'm going vegan. Yes.
well,
Okay. Yeah.
and I did it like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving in
Oh, wow. That was
2016.
daring of you. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to
and
just crack open. I'm just going to show this real quick. This is, Waterloo. It is vegan. So I'm going to, if you hear a little, that's my thing opening up. Okay.
oh, okay.
Yes.
It looks good. What
Yeah.
flavor is it?
It's blackberry lemonade. I got this by the case at
Ooh.
Costco. They were out of Spindrift, which doesn't have natural flavors, and this does have natural flavors. And my husband's like, we don't know what's in a natural flavor, which yeah, it's kind of it's a mystery thing. So he wasn't keen that I got this, but they do taste good. Okay. So but let's go back to because we're talking about uh starting to become vegan. You're doing it around Thanksgiving time, which can be a challenge. And my husband and I remember when the first year that we went vegan, when Thanksgiving rolled around, that was such a challenge to go stay with. I think we went down to his family's Thanksgiving, and there wasn't a whole lot for us to eat. And then the next year we decided to go to San Francisco and have like a go to a vegan restaurant and have like a 3-course meal or whatever. And that was great and all. But then I was like, I want to do my own Thanksgiving. And so I started doing a ThanksLIVING festival. ThanksLIVING, I call it festival because more people kept showing up every year. And became like a big deal. And that became like one of my big things that I did every year was this ThanksLIVING thing. So Thanksgiving, okay, so you being what you do, you help people like get over that, like the conflict of standing tall and being a vegan and being more confident about it. And so now you're going to be doing Thanksgiving. How did that go?
Yeah, so I we went to a friend's house and I let her know. And I brought over, I made a lentil loaf and I made these chocolate fudge cookies using black beans, and it tasted pretty good.
Uh-huh.
You know, you put chocolate chips and vanilla and some maple syrup, it doesn't taste like really black bean and cocoa, cocoa powder.
Right,
It's not
right.
going to taste like black beans anymore. And so I went and I survived. People were curious. I got some little comments and I can't even remember what, but it wasn't that bad. Actually, people were pretty cool and they were more curious and they tried my stuff and they were impressed. And so that was cool. And then about 2 months later, I stopped being vegan. I had fish again because I was trying to juggle the right incorporation of nutrients and I was
Mhm.
figuring that stuff out. And and my doctor was telling me I need omega-3. And so I did it for a couple months, but then I just couldn't even, the idea of eating fish, something it shifted and I just couldn't do it.
Mhm.
And then I found other sources of
Right.
omega-3 that are plant-based. And then I've been completely vegan ever since. And I think that's a normal part of the journey. Sometimes you might slide back because you're figuring things out.
Yeah.
And I always tell people that I work with, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And so whatever process you need to make the progress happen, you just got to do what works for you until you figure it out.
I love that. And there's a few things in there I'd like to unpack. So
Sure.
one, you posted on you on Facebook, which is like you're declaring to the world, hey, it's almost like you're having everyone hold you accountable for it in some ways, like I'm doing this, and because you're putting yourself out there and you're documenting it, it's sort of like, okay, I'm committing myself to this. So when I decided to give up alcohol, I did the same thing. I was like, okay, I'm going to record a podcast about it. Now, I thought I was going to be recording every day because I thought, oh, this is going to be, a challenge and all this stuff. It turned out to be fairly easy for me. And then I started feeling guilty that it was so easy that I didn't want to like record every day and be like, no, it was not a big deal, because some people really, really struggle with it. And I did not
Yeah.
want to make that, I didn't want to make it sound trite or like, oh, it's so easy, blah, blah, blah. And yes, there's been times where I was like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to like sit out in the sunshine, especially when it's, sunny and people are like having a glass of wine or whatever. But, I dealt with it. And so I just felt like I didn't have to do this every day. Now, I think in a couple of days, it'll be my 30th anniversary and I'll record something. But with being vegan, a lot of people, they try it, they're like, oh, I don't want to give up cheese. You were like, you found out that the dairy part of it was really like, it can be terrible for you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, but I can't give up cheese. So, I mean, you can get there and you can be vegetarian for years, but still be eating unhealthy. Now, you can be vegan and be eating unhealthy, not getting enough exercise. I know that happened with me. I've been sitting around quite a bit doing my business and all of that, and got some blood tests. And I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. How's that possible? Like,
Oh, that was me. That was me
yeah,
a couple months ago.
yeah. And it's like, well, it can happen. With veganism, we sometimes we can, for convenient reasons, we can like be like, I'm gonna eat the vegan cheese that I bought, or I'm gonna have some processed, Beyond Burgers or whatever it is. And I'm not putting any of these things down. They have their time and place, but we can't just have them all the time. And so I think a combination of that was probably drinking, alcohol, not getting any exercise. So I think it was a combination of things. And so it was kind of a wake up call for me to be like, okay, I'm talking about veganism and plant based eating, and I need to be eating more whole foods, which is should be like what I'm focused on eating a vegan diet. I think I got too comfortable with the vegan donuts.
I relate to everything you just said. I recently posted about this on my YouTube channel earlier in August. I gained like 30 pounds
Yeah, same here. I gained about
last
that.
year, and I was already like 10 pounds over from like the pandemic. And what happened was at the end of 2022, my father had passed away, and there was just like such an emotional explosion of stuff. And there was a lot of things that happened in 2023. My dad had passed away a couple months before. My son was looking at colleges, and
Mm.
then went away to school, and we were in the process of moving out of Brooklyn to the Hudson Valley area, an hour and a half outside of New York City. So we were getting rid of things, preparing for a move, about to become empty nesters, dealing with this all this emotion, complicated emotions around, losing my dad. And I just couldn't deal. It was just so intense that I went to old habits of emotional eating. And I had gained a lot of weight at one point around the time when my son was born, but then I lost all of that. And I was able to maintain that for a long time. And working in the city, I was able to like walk to the train, walk around the city, all of those things. My
Mm-hmm.
commute helped me sneak in exercise. And then when the
Yeah.
pandemic happened, I've been working from home, which I love working from home, but it was harder to get that motivation for the exercise. And then, yeah, so I went to the doctor in July, kind of dreading it because I had a feeling that I was going to get some kind of news. And sure enough, I did. And one of the my triglycerides went up.
Mm.
And I found out I was anemic, which I've been vegan for over 7 years and I've never been anemic. And so
Oh.
I know I don't think it was the veganism that made me anemic, but something shifted. And I also was reading how, women, as we get older and our bodies change and get closer towards that bigger change in life, I was reading that our iron requirements change and we actually need more iron.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm taking a prescription iron supplement that my doctor prescribed me. I researched it. It doesn't have any animal products in it. I'm taking that for the course that I'm supposed to take it. And in the meantime, I've been researching how to increase my iron intake as a because I'm only supposed to take these for like I think 3 months, and then
Mm-hmm.
when I'm done, so I want to maintain that healthy balance. And I've been starting to lose weight, and I've been trying to exercise more. It's hard,
It
especially
is
when
hard. Yeah.
I work full time, and then I also have my business and try to, do all the other things that I'm doing. So yeah, it can, it can get hard sometimes.
It can. And so I've gone, through the whole menopause thing. I've been anemic most of my life. So when I was younger, even when I was a meat eater, I was anemic. And, they would say, like, oh, well, once you stop your periods, you'll probably not be anemic anymore. And I'm still, I still have problems with iron. And I do take one that's made from beets, I believe. And
Ooh.
it's called like the blood beater. I don't know. It's got a weird name. Anyways, I can find it, but it's a vegan one, and it doesn't give you a stomach ache and all of that kind of stuff. And so I do take that, but I found out that you don't want to take it when you're having coffee. So like in the morning, I take a lot of my
Mm-hmm.
pills, and coffee, I guess, will make it so that your body doesn't absorb the iron. But so okay, let's do some show and tell because I just noticed the time and we've been just chatting around here. I don't even think I
Wow.
introduced myself. So I'm Heather, and you are watching It's a Plant-Based Party. And this is a vegan talk show where you can come on and talk about being vegan, things that you've tried, things that you like, recipes, travel, any of those types of things. So I brought some things today to share, and hold on, I'm just gonna pull this one thing out real quick. So a lot of times when people are going vegan, nut butters are one of their favorite things to eat because they want to have some kind of protein. But they soon realized that one of the things that they like to eat, which was Nutella, is not vegan. At least I have not come across any Nutella that is vegan yet. I would imagine someday they're going to make one. But this one, if you can eat peanuts, this is one of my very favorites.
Oh, I love that stuff. We used to buy it all the time.
Yeah. So, but
So
it does
good.
have palm oil and sugar in it.
Yes.
But if you have it just occasionally, it's really good. So if a recipe calls for Nutella, so if you're doing like crepes or something like that, and again, if you're doing crepes, you probably need eggs, and that you can use egg replacer for that. which is kind of a combination of potato starch and some other starches. And then you whip it up with some water and you can use it as an egg replacer. So use this instead. This is so yummy on bananas. See, it says like, oh, just dig in with the spoon. Unfortunately, it is so good that you will just want to dig in with the spoon and just eat it. Great.
Or put it on rice cakes. I used to put it on rice cake. It's so
Ooh.
good on rice cakes.
Apples. I love it on
Oh yeah.
apples. Oh yeah.
We had to
So
stop. We stopped buying it because we just
it's too good.
it was too good and it was too hard to like not eat it. So once in a while, we'll get it as a treat. We haven't gone in a while, but yeah, that used to be a staple in our house. So it is really good stuff.
Yeah, and there's some other companies that make it. There was a company, I think it's called Wild Friends, and I believe that's the name. It's more expensive, but I think it has less sugar, less oil, that sort of thing. And I think that company is still around. They were from the Portland area. They had like two little squirrels on it. I always thought they were called Squirrel Friends, but I think it's Wild Friends, maybe.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to share was, so I'm a Costco shopper, and one week sometimes Costco has things and you're like, oh, where is it this time? Like they had these dried tangerines that were amazing, which I'm actually glad that they never have had again because they were too good. They were expensive, and God knows how fattening they were. But so they have, oops, let's see if I can. Of course, I've got a green screen going on. It's a mango, and it's mango with sugar. It says dried mango, non-GMO. It does not say organic. So these are not organic. It says vitamin C, all this stuff. These are very good. But I was like, why do these taste so sugary? I was thinking that they were these that I'd gotten before, which are the dried mango organic ones, which have no sugar. And so these are more expensive than the other ones, but you're not paying for sugar, a bunch of sugar. So when you're looking by the pound, you're getting more mango for your money. And these are way better for you. And actually, I like the taste better of these that are just, the only ingredient is mango. This other one has mango, cane sugar, sodium, and some other preservatives. The other one doesn't even have preservatives. So then I was like, I'm not eating those anymore. And I was like, oh, no wonder they tasted so sugary. So always look with dried fruit. Dried fruit is always going to be sugary enough as it is. So if it's got added sugar, maybe stay away from those. So you don't need to added sugar. And Jennifer, you said that you made a cookie. I'm anxious to see what this cookie was.
Yeah. So I had some bananas on my counter. They were about to go and I needed to do something with them because I knew I wasn't going to eat 3 bananas within 24 hours. So I made this cookie.
Ooh, is that a cowboy cookie?
I don't know what you call it, but it could be because I've seen those. There's like different things. So what I did was I mashed the 3 bananas, added 3 cups of oats, I had some hemp hearts, like just a little bit left in the fridge, dumped it in, added a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I put in some vegan chocolate chips and some pumpkin seeds, mixed it all up, shaped it into little cookies on parchment paper, and I baked it for like 12 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, hold on a second. So just oats, no flour?
No flour, just oats, banana, chocolate chips. I've seen versions of this before. It's like a breakfast cookie. I've done it similar also with canned pumpkin. If you go on my channel, I have a recipe video that I did last fall with using canned pumpkin, and I make a similar cookie with that. So yeah, it's pretty simple. You can just, it tastes like an oatmeal cookie. Oh, and I put some cinnamon in it. And yeah, no eggs, no sugar, no flour. It's basically, I look at it like this. It's like oatmeal shaped in cookie form.
And you're probably using the quick oats, right?
Yeah, well, this was actually whole oats, organic. I have to go pull it out of my cupboard.
Organic whole oats, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think that's what it was. Just like some Bob's Red Mill. I don't think it was the instant one.
Okay, nothing
Um,
instant. Okay.
but I've
And
done
not
the,
and not
I've done it
steel
with,
cut oats. People like don't make cookies out of steel cut oats.
yeah, I didn't make it out of the steel cutouts. No, so it's just regular whole, like the kind that aren't quick. But I've
Yeah.
also made similar cookies with the quick oats.
Hmm.
It works pretty well.
Yeah.
And so you can just get creative. If you got some canned pumpkin or some bananas you want to use up and you have a craving for cookies and you got some chocolate chips, and you don't need a lot of chocolate chips to just give you that hint of flavor.
Hmm.
Although after I dumped some chocolate chips in there, of course I dumped some in my hand. Because whenever I may use chocolate chips, that's what's going to happen. Uh, but yeah, so I made this cookie and it was pretty good. I had a nice little snack and I put them in the fridge, and you can either put them in the microwave to warm up for like, I don't know, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or you can just eat them cold, and they're good for breakfast. They're good as a quick snack. I'm going to count it as dinner tonight, but
Now, did you put any maple syrup in there, or it has no sweetness
I
except for the
didn't
banana?
because I was out. The bananas made it sweet enough.
Hmm.
But when I do it with pumpkin, then I do use the maple syrup because you definitely need the maple syrup. But the bananas were sweet enough for me
Hmm.
that yeah, because I forgot to pick up more maple syrup when I was at the store the other day. So but yeah, I just made it, it's kind of like a good way to use up some leftovers. I had some, just a little bit left of hemp parts. So like, yeah, I know, and I put some walnuts in there too.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
also had like an almost empty bag of walnuts. So you can just, it was just kind of like leftover stuff I just kind of threw together,
Yeah.
and pretty healthy, I think. Probably the only thing unhealthy is chocolate chips, but it's only like a little bit of chocolate chips. And again, much better for you than if you had like some regular chocolate chip cookie or oatmeal
Right.
cookie that's loaded with sugar and oil and
Yeah,
all of
exactly.
those things. So yeah, I'm trying to eat more whole food plant-based. I would say 80% of the time, 80,
Hmm.
90% of the time, I'm eating whole food plant-based. I try to save the non-whole food plant-based for like the weekend if we're going out somewhere.
Hmm.
There's a lot of great places around me that have vegan treats. So I'll go treat myself and I'll have something, I'll eat out that's vegan, but just not whole food plant-based.
Yeah.
And I recently completed the Forks Over Knives whole food plant-based home chef certification. I just finished it this week.
Awesome.
So it's definitely like I've learned a lot of amazing techniques for making healthy, flavorful food. So I'm working on, I want to do more food content and teach people how to eat healthier
Hmm.
by eating plants. And so yeah, so so this cookie would fall in the whole food plant-based category because there's no um sugar, there's no oil in there. The
Hmm.
only thing I used was some chocolate chips.
Yeah. And you could add also some flax meal in
Oh
there that
yeah, if you want to
and
make flax, yeah.
yeah, and if you have a lot of bananas and you feel like it's not sticking together, rather than grabbing flour, if you're especially if you're trying to avoid flours, um but you can get things like almond flour as well, but if you're trying to avoid anything that's been processed like that, flax meal is just flax seeds that have been grounded up,
Yeah.
and your body will absorb them better. You could probably also put, if you had a lot of moisture in there and we're trying to like make it a little bit less moist, you could also put in some chia seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I love shredded coconut, so if it's
Ooh,
like
me too.
shredded coconut that doesn't have the sugar on it and all of that, you can put that in there. And Isa Malkovich, let's see, what's her name? Elsa, Isa, Isa Malkowitz. She's the one that did Veganomicon. She has a pie book. She's got a cookie book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, she's got a one of the books that she's got. I think it's from the cookie book. Has a cowboy cookie, and it basically is like a lot of these things that are kind of like in a cookie. And so I've just taken that as an inspiration, like you said, like I've got this. What else can I kind of toss in there? And now that you said the pumpkin, because I've not tried it with pumpkin. Now I'm thinking like I bet sweet potato would be another way of making it,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
because
Oh
then it's
yeah,
got the
sweet
sweetness.
potato. would be great with this, as long as you have some maple syrup to sweeten it a little bit. Like the
Mm-hmm.
bananas were, they were ripe bananas, so they were like super sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And just I want to do a side note too about taste, because we were talking about how it's hard for people to give up cheese, and we're talking about eating less sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I found my taste buds have changed.
Oh
So
yeah.
when I gave up dairy in the beginning, like completely committed to veganism, because before I committed, once in a while I would still have it, and then suffer the consequences of it, you know. Um, and then when I went fully vegan, I gave it up. And at first, the vegan cheese tasted a little weird to me. But then my taste buds adjusted after a couple of weeks. And also, if you put like, a sauce on it, it's gonna absorb the flavors of the sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And the cheeses now have advanced so much, based on what I've heard vegan cheese, what it used to be like, that um but your taste buds change, and so I just wanted to throw that out there, because when you eat less sugar, and I also have sodium. I've cut out a lot of sodium over the years out of my diet. I've been eating low sodium for like 12 years now. And
Wow.
yeah, and anytime I have something like something that might not seem salty to other people is going to taste super salty to me. So I only put like a little bit on. And so I just wanted to throw that out there, that if you're looking to reduce sugar or salt or cheese in your diet, um, give your taste buds like 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks to change, because then you'll notice that the food that you're replacing those old ways of eating with is going to start to taste good to you. You'll start craving it. But you just got to give yourself some time and your taste buds some time to adjust.
Yeah, and I've been trying to give up sugar, and it is a hard one, but if you just say like, okay, I want something sweet, well, you can reach for something like maybe a date,
Oh
and
yeah.
just have that. Those are so sweet
I
already.
love dates.
Yeah.
Dates and a handful of nuts, and I'm like, good.
And so that'll just like curb your sweet cravings. Also, like having something like fruit, like watermelon, like, oh
Oh
my god,
yeah.
watermelon is so sweet and it's good for you. And so think about ways that you can infuse fiber into your diet with the sweetness. So that way you're getting something good out of it. Okay, well, let's see. We have a little bit more time, and you were talking about flavor, and so I wanted to share a couple of things that I've gotten lately. So I love the Trader Joe's, and they have these. Okay, of course you can't see anything here. Oh, maybe that'll make it work. So they
Chili
have these.
onion sprinkles. Ooh.
Yeah, so they have these flavored peanuts that you can buy at Trader Joe's that have this flavoring on it, but now they came out with just the flavoring that you can get. And granted, yes, there's probably a lot of salt in here, but you're only going to sprinkle a tiny bit on things. So it's really good on soup. So I made a cabbage soup, and this was like, we put this a little bit on the top each bowl. So it's sea salt, crispy fried onions, does have palm oil. I mean, chili, brown sugar. Okay, it's got all these goodness in there. Dried roasted garlic, dried Szechuan pepper. Okay, so it's that's not all good stuff, but you're only sprinkling on a little, and man, a little bit goes a long ways, and it will jazz up what you're eating. So if you're like, oh man, it's so bland, try that, and you're gonna at least you can control how much you get rather than having the peanuts that are just completely covered in those. And then
Mm-hmm.
I love uh what I would call exotic spices. Now, for people, depending on what culture you're from, these may be just commonplace spices. But for someone who had a mom from Minnesota, anything that's like beyond paprika is considered exotic, right? So these are one of these is African and the other, let's see. Actually, they're both African. So one is Ethiopian spice blend. It's
Oh, I've always wanted to try that.
it's
I've
really good.
been
Yeah.
seeing recipes
Yep.
using that.
and then this one's the North African. So I usually use these together. Some of the flavors in this I would like, and I can read some of the ingredients: paprika, sea salt, cayenne pepper, but it's not that spicy. Fenugreek, coriander, cumin, black pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, turmeric, and this one has peppermint in it. So they're very
Ooh.
similar, but it's a nice blend of spices. So oftentimes I'll use these together, or I'll take like a Jamaican curry and then add some of this to it because it gives a little bit of heat, but not too much. And I think this one is probably a little bit spicier than this one. And these are organic spices, and you can find these, and I think a lot of grocery stores sell these. It's a company called Frontier Co-op, but I think the blend of spices is a known blend. So, some brands may do it slightly different than others. So it's Burberry, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then harissa, I think.
I
Hopefully,
think that's how you say them.
yeah,
Yeah.
very good. And a little tiny bit goes a long ways, and especially if you're used to more of a blander diet. But my husband likes spice, and so I've learned to like spice a lot myself. And now I'm like, God, what I was eating before was so bland. But so our taste buds definitely can change over time. It just depends on what you're introduced to. But if you've got somebody that you're serving that is not used to eating spice, I would not give them any of these unless they want to try it on their fingers or something first. So all three of these have a little bit of bite to them. But yes, so you've heard of these, but you haven't.
Yeah, I haven't tried them. And I just wanted to add that, even though that blend that you showed that was from those nuts, what was it? The onion.
Oh yeah. The one from Trader Joe's. Yeah.
I just wanted to add that, even though the ingredients may not be perfect, it's still, you're like you said, you're using a little bit. And I feel like if you're eating a quantity of quality food, right? Like I said, I try to focus on 80% whole food, plant-based, unprocessed. And then the occasional thing here where, okay, this, I'm out and this dressing happens to have olive oil in it or something or whatever. Again, not being perfect, but if, the majority of the time you're eating good and you're only using a small quantity of that, it's not like you're eating a whole bucket of palm oil, right? So
exactly. Yes. And you told me that your husband got you a vegan shirt. So let's see this shirt. Hopefully it shows up on camera.
Here we go.
Oh, how cute. Is that from a local company?
So we got it we actually, here, let me look it up. We tried this it was a different place it was new to us. We went to, let me look up the name of this place. I can't remember the name of it now. We were going out for like hiking and beforehand in an area called Pleasantville, New York.
Oh.
Let me just make sure I think that's where, yeah, Pleasantville, New York. And there's this restaurant we discovered. We were like, where can we go, to eat? And here it is. So we went to this place called Root to Rise, New York. And it's all gluten-free, like breads and bagels and baked goods. And then they also had food. So we had this really good, like, beet veggie burger thing. And they had all these different vegan t-shirts. And so my really cool non-vegan husband bought me a vegan t-shirt because I was like, I don't have any vegan t-shirts. And so, yeah, so he got me this vegan t-shirt. But yeah, this place, Root to Rise, it was really, really good. They have a couple of locations here in the Hudson Valley, and I'm definitely going to go back. They had some really delicious looking bagels and breads, all gluten-free. So if you're watching and you're either in New York City and you come to the Hudson Valley or you live in the Hudson Valley area, why am I turning blue? Turning blue.
Maybe you had too many blueberries. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I've noticed my Zoom does that sometimes. It's strange. But yeah, I recommend checking it out. The burger was really good, didn't taste processed, wasn't very salty, was really, really good. And all these fresh baked things. So whether you're vegan or gluten-free or both or not vegan, everyone enjoyed it. And then we bought some like cookies and stuff to eat on our hike. And yeah, so that's the story behind the shirt.
Wow. Very interesting. Okay. Well, now I really have to check out Pleasantville because I'm pretty sure that that is where my dad was born in 1919. He passed away, but
Hmm.
he was in an orphanage back in like the 20s
Oh, wow.
in Pleasantville. I'm pretty sure it was Pleasantville.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't even know if the building is still there. It'd probably be like an old institution or something, I would imagine, but
Yeah, I'm no, that was my first time being in Pleasantville. I've heard of it, like we've driven by the exits for it,
uh-huh.
and the Hudson Valley area is very big. It's between New York City and Albany, all along the Hudson River. So it's a
Oh.
large span
Mm-hmm.
of really cute little towns. And yeah, so.
Oh, okay. Well, next time I'm in the East Coast in that area, I'm gonna have to check it out. Well, very cool. So, well, Jennifer, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's a plant-based party, and we've had a party here. Oh, I one last thing I brought out. I'll just show it really quick. So you were talking about gluten-free. I don't know if you've tried these.
Oh, I live on Banza pasta.
Oh,
I love Banza.
so these are made from chickpeas, and so if you, so that is a chickpea. I think is considered a bean, right? Chickpeas.
That's a bean. It's like a legume bean. It's in that category
Yeah,
of stuff. Yeah.
yeah. So it's already good for you. It's and if you're thinking, oh, I want to have pasta, but you don't want to have all the wheat and the heaviness. And what I like about this, well, I get it from Costco, so I get it fairly cheap, but the bags are a lot smaller, so it's not like you're making a giant meal. And if you feel like, oh, I got to feed a lot of people, I just load this up with vegetables. So I eat it
Yeah.
with tons and tons of veggies, and so the pasta is just kind of mixed in as the quote unquote starch that kind of holds the whole thing together. And you can have it with, if you want to make like a mac and cheese, you can do that too with maybe like a cashew cheese that you can make or something. But really, really good. And I have baked this before too. It will bake okay, but you want to boil it first. And my recommendation is always take it off the stove a minute to 2 minutes before it says to, because otherwise they start to kind of fall apart. And especially
Hmm.
if you're going to mix it with sauce later on, you want to take it off at least 2 minutes beforehand. So it really only takes like a matter of like 4 or 5 minutes to actually boil this stuff. So I'm glad. So you have this on the East Coast too. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, I've been making Banza now for a while now. I'd say 5, 6 years maybe. It's been a while. I've been making ever since I discovered it. Because it's not eating empty carbs. You're getting protein. Even though I can have gluten, I feel better not eating a lot of it, and
Hmm.
also monitoring my triglycerides now. Like I can't have like a lot of like starchy things. So it's just much better for you. And yeah, it's great with sauteed vegetables. I've made ziti from it using, vegan cheese. I've tossed it with some pesto.
Mm.
It's really good pasta. So
Yeah, it
I
is.
recommend it.
Yeah. Okay. So before I let you go, Jennifer, though, I do want to hear about, if you don't mind, just briefly, um, tell us a little bit about the forks over knives training that you went through. Is this something that takes a long time? Do you do it online? Does it is how costly is it? Do you have to renew the your certification? Like what are some of those things?
Yeah, so it's originally they give you 3 months to complete it. So I purchased it back in March. And then I did it for like 2 weeks, and then I got very busy, and then the deadline came. So then I had to spend, I think, $40. They give you 30 days to like an additional thing. And then they only can do that in 30-day increments. So I was like,
Mm.
I don't want to keep buying increments. So I've been super busy cramming in all this content, making a mess in the kitchen every night, submitting stuff. Um,
And do you
but then,
have to
yeah,
make what they train you on and then
yeah,
you
so
have
then
to
you have to,
prove
so
it to
there's
them?
different segments and then you submit it. You have to like take pictures of your work. It gets graded. So I'm just waiting for a grade on my last assignment and then I'll get my certificate that they give you for completing it. And yeah, it's great for anyone who just wants to learn how to cook better. I forgot the cost. It was on sale when I got it. So it was ended up being less than what it is, but if you look it up, it's like the forks over knives home cooking course. If you Google that,
Mm-hmm.
it'll pop up. I think it was like a couple $100, but it's like
Oh,
180. I mean, I learned a lot of stuff in it. And things I thought I knew about cooking, like I just, oh, you just throw this in boiling water. You just, I just learned other layers, like how to make spice blends and how to, saute without oil. I mean, I was sauteing without oil, but I realized there's a much better, more flavorful way to saute without oil. So it really upped my cooking game a lot.
wow.
And I'm excited to do that. So yeah, I recommend if you're someone who wants to learn how to be a better cook and just learn how to do whole food plant-based cooking and you like a good challenge, this definitely challenged me, but in a good way. It got me out of my comfort zone. It got me to try things I wouldn't have normally tried. And I felt like it was a good sense of accomplishment after. So I recommend it.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So even if you've had bought the forks over knives cookbooks before, you're still going to learn all kinds of things. It sounds like, and there's
Yeah.
videos, and the fact that you have to actually turn in homework and buy the things. So was it costly to buy the groceries, or were they mindful of like, okay, we're
So
not going to pick out the like lion's mane mushrooms or
yeah,
something
they
really
give you like
expensive?
some recipes to choose from.
Oh,
So
okay.
that, yeah, sometimes. So sometimes it wasn't that costly. Um, there's a lot of practice recipes. I just didn't have time to do all of like I watched all the like videos on how to do it and I
Mm-hmm.
made some of them. And they say try making one of each. You don't have to make all of them. But there's certain things you don't have to cook everything in it. But there's certain things you have to submit. So I think it was relatively affordable. I needed to get a stainless steel frying pan. So I bought one that I actually got for like 11 cents on Amazon because I had like credit card points and stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so my credit card gives me like points towards to like, dollars to use on Amazon purchases. So I ended up spending 11 cents on this pan. Uh,
Yeah.
um
And nice
so
pans can be very costly too. So
yeah,
that,
so I just didn't, I didn't get anything too crazy. You also need to have like a chef's knife. So I got very cheap because I'm not, a professional chef. I got what I needed to get through the course. So I didn't get like high end
mm-hmm.
stuff for it. But I figured, what? So I had to get like a knife set and I got the pan. I'm trying to think if there was something else that I needed to get. I feel like there was something, but I'm not thinking of what it was now. But yeah, I mean, it didn't need too much. You need your basic cooking news, but you do need like a chef's knife set,
Mm-hmm.
a stainless steel frying pan. You'll need some parchment paper or a silicone mat to
Mm-hmm.
do the oil-free baking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you can move at your own pace. I mean, if you don't do like I did and try to cram in all this content in 4 weeks because I waited too long. The fact that they give you 3 months, I mean, if you did a little bit each week, then it's definitely like more doable. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And yeah, I think it's definitely worth taking.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's very cool. I'm glad to hear all about that. Well, Jennifer, thanks so much for being on the show. And people can find you. Tell us your YouTube channel, and also not only do you have the sip and chats, but you also do a book club. So, We have a couple of minutes left. So tell us about
Sure.
the.
So I did the book club as an experiment over the summer with
Oh,
my
okay.
sip and chat group. And it didn't end up going as well as I thought it would go. So right now, not doing any more book club stuff for now, but I do the sip and chat monthly. We have one coming up next week on let me just look up the date, just to make sure I'm giving the right date here. It's Wednesday, the September 18th. We're gonna have a guest speaker. It's at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
So you can go to my website, theconfidentvegan.com, and on my community tab, you can like sign up there. And then my YouTube channel is The Confident Vegan. I'm going to be working on redoing my website. Right now, it's just a very basic website I threw together as I've been working on my offerings.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm really passionate about helping vegans and aspiring vegans setting boundaries with the non-vegans in their lives, because it can be very challenging being different from the people around you. So I have a lot of support and tools. And then I'm also going to be eventually implementing healthy cooking classes. So stay tuned for that.
Wow, very, very cool. Yes, I've been a weirdo my whole life, so for me it wasn't that difficult, but for others I know that it is a strain for them. They feel uncomfortable, especially when they go into an environment where there's not going to be anything for them to eat, or they're not sure if there's going to be anything, or they feel weird about saying like, "Hey, I ordered the vegan meal," and but that's great that you're there to support them. So, all right. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And it's a plant based party. And I'm Heather, the host. And we've been here with Jennifer, who is the confident vegan. Yes.
Thank you so much for having me, Heather. I had a lot of fun on our party.
Yes, we're having a party of two. If you want to join in on the party, please let me know. You can send me a DM on Instagram at Savvy Frugal Vegan. You can make a note in the chat thing or whatever is attached to this thing at the bottom of this newfangled thing they call YouTube. I don't know. I'm such an old person. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. Bye bye. Thank you,
Bye,
Jennifer.
everyone.